Hi, my name is Sridhar Rangan. I'm the festival director of KASHISH Mumbai International Queer Film Festival, which is having its third weekend right now. And you must have already
Woo!
watched hundreds of LGBTQ films over the last 2 weekends. And we are the third weekend, which is the Pride weekend. And we are super proud to basically bring to you a Q&A with the Indian Narrative Shorts Competition filmmakers and actors. And this is a super proud moment because we usually kind of love our Indian LGBTQ films, and these are the best of Indian LGBTQ films, which we have picked to be part of the competition. That's the preview team basically picks the entire thing, and part of the preview team is ABHRA Das. He has been a preview team member for many years, and also he has been the jury coordinator and also Q&A coordinator, and of course, he's a super big film buff. So over to you, ABHRA, to host this Q&A.
Thank you so much, Sridhar. Yes, like you rightly said, this is a very, very exciting moment for this particular segment. I look forward to because, again, I'm very much interested in what's happening in India, the Indian voices that are coming out. And the best part is every year we are all surprised to see diverse voices from India that, showcase their films in Kashish. So first of all, congratulations to all of you, and thank you for choosing Kashish as a platform to showcase your films. I am going to come to each one of you. And so, Jia, can you tell us a bit your film Closets? Is such a fun film to watch because you have taken a subject on its head and turned it over. You have addressed homophobia in a very, very quirky manner, and it was so much fun to watch. And you've managed such good actors as well to get them on board. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of how, during maybe, how did you come up with this that you want to tackle homophobia, but it won't be something heavy. It's going to be lighthearted, and yet it would pack a punch.
I'll give you a very good trivia for this. The only reason I got to making this film was because I knew that Kashish was giving a grant, a writer's grant, right? There is a writer's grant that you have to give, and that's how the whole journey began, right? So I was very, very excited to try and get that grant. So that's when we started writing the film, and it didn't go through, it didn't get selected, but that didn't deter us at all. And so we decided to bring other people on it and try to make it. And even though we got great feedback, and when the film got selected for Kashish as a part of the film festival, they said that, oh yeah, we read the script, but we didn't give you guys the grant, but it's a great film. So that's one trivia that I just wanted to give you, that Kashish has a huge role, huge role for us to be able to make this film. But apart from that, Pranav is here. He's a old friend from college. We used to do theater together, and he was doing a play. He's done a play called The Dustbin by Ajay Krishnan, and it's like a small sketch. And he came to me and he said, "Why don't you read it? What do you think about it?" And we've been trying to collaborate on a film for a long time. And when I read it, I was so excited because I never imagined something like this happening in an Indian setting or an Indian family. And it's still such a taboo here. It's still so difficult here to be able to talk about these things. And that's how we began. And I wrote a screenplay, and which underwent a lot of changes, especially the draft we sent to Kashish for the grant. It was very different than what we got down to making. But yeah, so the whole thing of the spin was very, very exciting. I wanted to make it a satire, and I knew it was challenging because it's not easy to bring out humor in such sensitive aspects of every terminology. I was very scared that I do not want to offend anybody. I do not want to say the wrong things, or be politically correct. And so there was a lot of fear that was evolving around the writing of the film, because it is something that's very sensitive, and rightly so. And the struggles that the LGBTQ community has gone through, I would never understand them because I haven't been a part of the community. So so it's not my story to tell, but it is my absolute wish to make every human on this planet to be able to live with love. So I do my bit by that. That really drove me to do this. And at the end, that they should be accepted for the way they are, for whoever they are, for whatever kinks and stupidities or different nuances every human being. I think everybody should have the right to be accepted and never be outcasted. So I think it's just a whole thing of acceptance that I try to bring out. And I personally learned so much about the LGBTQ. I think the only reason we got down to doing Almaria was the bigger plan was that so that we got more educated, we got more learned, and we, our minds opened as well while we were doing it. So I had an absolute blast, and I'm so thankful and grateful that we were able to do this.
How wonderful. And in fact, I do remember when you are in the film, the parents are discussing the letters, and then the mother says,
Am I
and there's
frozen?
+2 for those who don't fit into all of these letters. So that's wonderful to know that while you're working on,
Yes.
you got a bit closer to knowing more about the entire spectrum. Pranav, I would come to you now. Karan, the homophobe. Well, Pranav,
Hi.
good in the film. Tell us about your experience and what was your brief by JIYA and how was it?
Yeah, so, like Jia, to add to what Jia was saying, this film was like therapy for me. I think I needed it the most because I was doing this play, which was from, it was a short, sketch, which was from this bigger piece called Tiny Disasters, Trivial Disasters by Ajay Krishnan. And we used to do it, but, it used to be more of a club performance, and we did not sort of dive so deep into the subject back then. And then we were trying to do something for a very long time. And this idea, I sent her the play. I first tried to do the screenplay myself, but then I very quickly realized that, it's not my cup of tea. You should leave it to the expert. So, and JIYA came up with a very nice screenplay. And I think during that time only, like she was telling you, she sent me a WhatsApp about the KASHISH grant. And that was like the first lockdown. And we were sitting at home, no work was happening. I thought, yaar, yahi tarika hai, kuch paise bhi ban jayenge, film bhi ban jayegi, and we want to say the story, to wo bhi hamara kaam ho jayega. And that's how it started. When we were writing the script, we did not know what we were going to do with it. But then things fell in place, and one thing led to another. We finally could do the film. My preparation for it, while we were doing the film, JIYA said, yaar, tu to khud homophobe hai. Because, I'll be very honest and I'll be very frank. Please don't kill me because today I don't think like I used to yesterday, and we keep evolving. But we used to use words like dhila or bela or those things. And then while we were doing the film, JIYA said, "Yeah, tujhe zarurat hai. You need the film the most." And at one point in time, I did not know that there was LGBTQ plus. I thought it ends at LGBTQ, because that's what I knew. My knowledge was very limited. But then when we started to research, we met some people, and we realized that, this subject needs a lot of attention. And still, as a society, although legally, now we have a cushion, we've gotten some support from the courts, but there is still a long, long way to go for inclusivity. So yeah, I think the whole process of the film was educational, and it has definitely changed me as an individual. I don't know if how I've done as an actor, or if it's really helped me there, but it's definitely changed me as a human being.
Right. Great. I mean, that's the magic of the entire process of filmmaking. Next, I'm going to come back to you again. But before that, I would like to move on to KIRNAY. You're next. Keep punching. Well, from a comic relief, from a satire, we move on directly to actually a power-packed punch where people get violent. Kinay, from what I know, you have worked in the Hindi film industry for a long time. You have assisted in major, A-list films. How did you come up with this particular story? What was it? That too, you have placed it in a small town, in a mountain town, in the hills up, and the whole process of this boxer, her internal turmoils of that she wants to pursue a career. Then there's, then she has a girlfriend. Then this whole confrontation with the mother. What was your process, and why do you want to tell this story?
It's a really long journey. I think it all starts from my love for Rocky as a as a film buff. And I mean, I don't know what changed me when I watched the film, and it, like, you know, just kept growing over the years. And when I was in film school, so we had to do a final graduation project. One of the, and it was I wanted to make a film on boxing or about a boxer, but I just couldn't do it then. Uh, and then I started working in the film industry, and I think after each project, whatever money I would save, I would kind of spend it on just traveling around the country and going for these boxing tournaments. I made friends. I stayed with the boxers. I've even reached the Olympics somehow in 2012. So I've gone for all these tournaments and just researching boxing, and it just became something so interesting for me. That I always wanted to make a film on boxing. And then this 10 years later, after my first job as an assistant director in 2000, I think we were in 2019, and I was still kind of figuring out what to do. You know, how would I get my break as a sort of director or whatever. And I went to one of my mentors who I had worked with, Vikramaditya Motwani, and he's one of the producers on our film. And I just went to him for advice, you know, like just to ask him what I should do next. You know, how do I kind of make the next move? And he was like, you know what, you've written scripts, but you really need to make a short film. And I had made short films back in film school, and this was 2008 and before that. And it just seemed like a no-brainer at that point. It was like, you know, why? Of course, I mean, I need to make a short film. And that's how the journey began in 2019. And I knew I had to, I mean, it was again a no-brainer just to know that I had to make a film about boxing, about a boxer. And then so I went back to all my research from about maybe 9 years of researching boxing. Kept going, just like, you know, turning the pages and just seeing what I wanted to do. And it's not in the film, so I don't think anyone knows about this, but I have this tattoo from the movie Rocky, where, you know, Rocky is standing on the steps with his hands up, and somehow it got to Sylvester Stallone, and somehow I got this video from him, like a 15-second clip back in 2016 or 17, where he takes my name, and, you know, it's just like a small motivational 15-second video that he sent. And it just completely changed my life at that point, because I was going through a very low phase. And, you know, he ends the video by saying, "Keep punching." And I don't know if people follow him, people here follow him on Instagram. He just, you know, now it's become this thing where he just keeps saying, keep punching at the end of every video. So it's, I just, you know, so that video was one of the germs for the film. And that's the reason why I named the character Kirnay, because we thought that it would be nice to make the character a fan of the movie. And you know, through the process of the film, somehow she receives this video at the end, and that kind of becomes you know, a pivotal point in the film. But obviously, due to you know, legal or whatever reasons, we can't have it in the film. But it was always one of the ends of the film where she receives the video. But it just worked out so much better that we didn't use the video in the film. Yeah, so the video, my journey as a filmmaker and as someone who is really interested in the sport, and my years of research and personal, you know, personal ups and downs, really went into making this film. So yeah, I think that kind of answers your question. I don't know if it
Right.
does.
I mean, it's quite interesting because in the film itself, the main protagonist is a big fan of Rocky. She gets tattooed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So all that is kind of autobiographical in a way. And I mean, people who watch the film just ask me, why have you named the character Kirnay? And I couldn't have that Stallone video, so it kind of becomes like a disclaimer. It was like, oh, we had that video, but we couldn't use it. But it's okay. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's
you living
luckily
film.
it's not. Yeah, luckily it's not a Ramesh where it just becomes like, why would you name? You know, I mean, just no offense to any Ramesh, but like just saying, you know, it's kind of a name which could easily be anyone's name. So yeah.
Right, and Kirnay, you have some fantastic actors. The performance brilliant.
I got really lucky.
How was that process? Did you go through workshops with them? How was that process? You've got really good actors.
We didn't really have workshops. We didn't have time for any workshops. We didn't even have time for any rehearsals between the two leads. So Samriddhi, who plays Kirnay, was one of the first. I had seen her in a friend's show, and I just, there was something really interesting about her. So when we were casting, I asked if we could get her into audition. We had a lot of people audition for each of the three main characters. Samriddhi was, I think, the first. She came in on the first day, and I just knew there was something about her, to cast her. But we went through a whole long list, and we had a tough process of narrowing it down. But no, the actors were great. I mean, I really lucked out in terms of the actors, because I didn't really have to work with them a lot before we started shooting. There was a couple of days where we sat down and we just brainstormed a lot, and I just gave them everything that I thought about. We obviously had to do some fight rehearsals one day. Samriddhi had to train a lot to sort of become a boxer. There was a boxing match in the film which didn't make it to the final cut. So literally had to train her in 10 days because she was leaving for a holiday, and then she would come a day prior to leaving for Manali for the shoot. So it was, the actors, luckily for me, I didn't have to spend a lot of time before. And we just we kept it simple. I think they just got it because they're so good. I mean, I have no words to describe how good the actors are. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Next, I would come to Radhika. Hi, Radhika. So even in your film, of course, you're the actor as well in the film, one of the actors. Can you tell us, so are you into theater? Are you also a performer? How did you come up with this particular story? Because it's so interesting. And it's so nice to see working women, is about two girls talking to each other. We see that one of them is police, is in the police, the other one, so it's, how did you come up with these nuances, and tell us a bit about that.
A small brief is that I have been in the mainstream Tamil industry for the past 10 years as an actor. And I've been doing theater as well in Tamil. But the kind of roles that have come my way have been very limited in terms that oh, you can act, you do theater, so we're going to fix you in these kind of roles. So I started writing specifically for that sake, to kind of write characters who are having a good time, but we're also regular and very normal people. And specifically with these two characters, I was making another short film during which we met with an accident, and it was kind of like a terrible accident, but, and I had to stay home for a while, recuperating. And during that time, there was a sense of loneliness that came up, and it was this feeling of will I be able to step out, or will I be able to be in front of the camera was one thing, but also it was will I be able to step out and have conversations with people? And there was this weird sense of oh, I want to go out and talk to somebody right now. I want to have a conversation or a cup of coffee with someone. So that's how I think one afternoon I just sat and wrote this, and I don't know, like I felt like this urge of like I want to see these two people on screen. And I called the other actor Kalishwari immediately, like that afternoon, and said like, hey, I wrote something, I want you to come over. By the way, I met with an accident, you can also bring some fruits or like whatever to come and meet me, but let's do a reading. And she came over, we did a reading, and yeah, like as soon as I recovered a little, we shot her part, and that's kind of like how we went about this.
How nice. That's and one of it's so beautiful and tender, the conversation that happens in the film, which is just so relatable. You know, it's just two regular girls talking, and
Yeah.
the way you have chose to end the film is like, you know, the person says, yeah, let's come over and let's have coffee in our own house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, you've actually in a way normalized so much. It's not only about the lesbian relationship, it's a story of our times, right? It's
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, I feel like having to meet is like a, a big deal. Like, you know, like
Right.
we do have to make like a lot of preparations to meet a person. So,
Yes, so true, so true. I would now ask Kashyap, because you know, the in your film, Are We There Yet Again, is such a film of today. You know, it just reflects the times that we are living in. Again, two very powerful performances. And even though it's your story is about these two girls trying to have a, you know, it's kind of a conflict of whether or not to, you know, say, break it to their to the father about their relationship status. It's also, you know, then there will be somebody at the door and this girl is like sanitizing the handle, and most importantly, two working women, you know, which is so difficult. I mean, like, even in our films we have working women just by the way, right? You don't have, they're just talking, and somehow in the script, the fact that, you know, there is a deadline, there is a, you know, they're working and they're busy with their work, it somehow, you know, seeps in. So tell us, you and your co-director Bhanu, how did you come up with this kind of thing where, you know, you, even though it's a 6 minute, I think it's a very short film, 6 to 7 minutes, you pack in so much with so many layers to the story.
So, firstly, so honored to be in the midst of so many accomplished and super talented filmmakers. I can't wait to watch your movies. Especially Kirnay, your premise seems so compelling. I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, so Bhanu and I are frequent collaborators. Bhanu Babbal is an, you know, he's a director himself. He's assisted on a few movies. His last movie, I think, was October with Shujit Sarkar. He was one of the second or third assistants. So we get along very well together. And let me like tell you what the setting of, like, you know, how the breeding ground of this concept was. So we were making a film for the India Film Project, which is the 50-hour film project. And it has to be like of a certain runtime, 7 minutes or so, which is why it's so super short. And we had to crack the concept in 14 hours and like wrap up the production and post after that. We didn't crack the concept for like 20 hours. Like we were having a completely sleepless night, and we were stressing about what we'll do. And Bhanu had the seed of an idea ki, why don't we make something that's conversational about two women. And then we started kind of adding the layers, which is, you know, the times that we live in are very uncertain. And there's this like sense of like realization that we are all mortal, and that, you know, our loved ones will be gone someday. So that idea is the core of this entire thing. Their relationship is kind of just by the way. You know, it's like this could have been a straight couple. Um, this could have been any permutation and combination of two individuals who have to say something to their loved one before they leave, you know, because they're kind of having this foreboding feeling that that, you know, her parent might pass away. So that was the simple kind of premise that we put in, a conversational piece where they're kind of deliberating whether they should, you know, come out as a couple to one of their parents because the other one's lost her father already. And I think we can all relate to this reality right now. Ki, you know, I think number one on everyone's fear list, greatest fears would be losing, your parents. So that was on my mind. It was playing very strongly. And once I had these basic elements, which is like a couple that is not straight, because it just like, I think it's worth exploring other sets of people rather than just like a straight couple, and we were very conscious about the fact that we didn't want to be telling someone else's story. So we ran this story by a few gay couples that we're friends with, and we kind of checked with them if it makes sense, if they feel similarly, if the mannerisms are right. And we got super lucky with the actors. We got Sakhi Gokhale and Sharvari Deshpande, who are both phenomenal powerhouse performers. Sharvari was on Midnight's Children, and Sakhi has been in a bunch of films and is a great theater actor. So we got very lucky, and they were super helpful. Just the entire process of doing this, I think we shot this entire thing in 4 hours. We edited it in like 3 hours. Most of the time in between was spent doing illegal things. So it was a very fun process, and yeah, there's not much to the concept. To be honest, I think a lot of y'all are doing more layered stuff. For us, the objective was to make a movie, and we got very lucky with the production design and the camera work. Aditya Desai is our cinematographer, who's also doing a lot of commercial stuff right now, and he's really good. So it was just like a great team, just trying to have some fun, and that's the output that you get at the end of it. So yeah, it's really sad that Bhanu couldn't be here. He's like a lot of fun on camera. Like, he can talk to you guys and make you laugh for like 30 minutes straight. So he's that kind of guy. Yeah.
Well, that's great that you guys participated in a competition, and by the end of it, you had a film.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so nice. Well, now Sunny and Shivin, I'm going to come to both of you. All the films previously were in the more like in the realism and realistic films. Now we come to you with a period piece, a fairy tale, which is again so different from what we usually see. Again, we have this melancholic prince trying to get over, I mean, he's trying to, of course, get over his melancholia, and there's so many other things happening. Then comes somebody, and then things happen. Tell us from how did you come up with this particular concept that you are going to tell the story of a prince and not set the story in today's times? You want to go back in time and explore that particular.
I think you made us really happy by calling it a fairy tale. That was our goal. Our goal was to create a queer and LGBTQIA plus fairy tale that can be passed down to generations. It's weird that our history, being this rich, is so redacted. So many of our queer stories, so many queer legends have just been blacked out, and now honestly don't exist in history. So our idea was to just start one. If one doesn't exist, let's start one that we can pass on to the next generation and then further down ahead. To just create this myth, that, yeah, there are gay princes, there are queer princes, there are queer princesses, or however they want to identify. The idea was just to open it up and, just get an idea out there and put this thought out there. It came from, there was this, we wrote this when we were living in LA. So there was this very detached, we were feeling very detached from our roots. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what it is that we want to say as Indians who grew up in Bombay, as queer kids who grew up in Bombay, and what it felt like to be in this world and constantly being told about this rich history that exists, this elegance that exists in our culture. Even like filmmakers like Bansali or Ashutosh Gowarikar, who've created these magic on screen. And we were like, wait, why doesn't this exist for us? Why can't I watch this movie and identify? There needs to be at least one. So we tried our bit. We're like, okay, let's say the story the way we want to.
Right. I mean, in the whole film is the setup is the whole canvas is so big, and you get to see that grandeur. Uh, how difficult was it to pull it off?
Oh, a nightmare.
Very. We're fine. I think like if you read like the actual script before we jumped into pre-production, it's so wildly different because we're like very indie filmmakers and we don't get married to anything. So if we're like scene mein ye likha hai, ye nahi mila, to what can we use in our budget to make it work? So there's like multiple things that we had to sort of pull off. Like there's a lot of stuff that we had to collaborate with people. The location that we wanted were just too expensive. So we had to go down our indie roots and figure out how do we get certain places and how do we make them look good. So originally it was supposed to be like a Bansali set, super expensive, 100 people. And then we started like writing it and we started getting the cost for it. We're like, yeah, let's make it one alone prince in an alone palace. Let's see how we can explore that. And just like with those restrictions, we started coming up with just concepts and seeing how other people like it. Like our location was, what's the word for it?
So when we were looking for the location, we knew we wanted this palace. Now, of course, it's very easy to write it on paper and be like, yeah, let's go shoot 5 days in a palace. But once we started like wrecking, we took a train from Bombay. We went up the entire West Coast, up Rajasthan, Gujarat, everywhere. We're like, let's find the one that works for us. And then eventually realized that either it's way too grand or it's way too barren. There's nothing in between. There's nothing that feels lived in. It's either completely restored in a brand new hotel or it's in shambles and falling apart. So we wanted this like thin line in the middle, and we eventually, up our little adventure to find a location, we reached Delhi and we met Amarnath there. Amarnath is an activist, an author and activist for queer rights. And we happened to have this entire conversation. We pitched him our script. We spoke about the film for hours and hours. He's actually one of the people who helped us with the ending of the film.
Oh yeah, he made us rewrite our ending. It was supposed to be a very sad ending. And he said, everything is great in the film, but do you want a queer kid to watch this movie and feel sad in the end? Because we're very dramatic people. We're like, we want drama, how much ever drama we can get, we just push it in there. You know, as film students, a sad ending is like against the man who wants the happy ending. So he's like, just give us a happy ending, because if a queer person watches, they should feel better about themselves and not worse. And that like one comment like just made us rewrite the entire film to see it from an outside perspective, not see it from like a director or a writer, what I want to show of like my power, but what I want to tell people rather than, you know, this camera, this lens, this art, this costume. And yeah, like that thought just kind of went down the entire crew. And yeah, like we work like from the scratch. Like if a certain location was, you know, it was working for a scene, but we can't light it because it's way too big, we moved the set. We're like, fuck it, we said we'll go put it in some other location what we can actually light and pull off with the budget that we have. So I think just that small thing of learning from this experience was like, you know, you don't have to be, if this is written in the script, I'll get the same thing. Sometimes you just don't.
Well, that's great to know, you know, because, you know, a lot of independent filmmakers, they want to show a lot, but then, you know, there are these restrictions of maybe I'll not be able to shoot this, so let's rewrite, you know. It's glad to know that you guys did not give up, you know, you changed it according to, you know, whatever fits, but you went ahead and went ahead with your vision. And surprisingly, almost all your films end on a very, very hopeful note, which is a great, you know, a big shift. You know, over the years, we have seen so many different kinds of films coming to us, being played at Kashish. You know, now you know, once you see it over the years, you can actually see a distinct shift in stories of various kinds of stories. And not only that, they end with a lot of hope. You know, they're not only depressing stories, you know, they're not just sad stories. So which is amazing. I must ask you about this. You did mention about how difficult it is to pull off a film with such a, whose vision is so larger than life, you know. But I'm sure it must be very difficult for the others as well. If you could just give us a brief idea about the funding process, how difficult was it to, or how easy was it for you to get funds for this particular project, and so that, those who are watching, a lot of filmmakers are also watching, who would want to make queer stories. This might give them some kind of a direction. Whoever wants to go first, who would like to go first? I would leave it open.
So in my case, this was like a 2,000 rupee film. Okay. So like you can always make stuff on the cheap. But if your question is how do you kind of guide someone who needs funds to make a movie, especially on a subject like the LGBTQIA community, one of the, if you're listening, whoever's listening, if you have a great story and you want to get it made, I'd be happy to fund it. Like, if it's a smallish story, you can write to me at kashyap@lofundwala.com, lofundwala.com. I produce stuff. So if it's an interesting LGBTQIA story, happy to help you make it real.
Wow, that's an invitation. Thank you, Kashyap. I'm sure a lot of scripts will be coming your way. Well, Kashish also has a Qdrishti fund, which, opens from time to time. Please keep, keep your eyes open, follow us on social media, and whenever there's the call for entries open up, please give it a try. Jiya would know. Jiya had also already been
because
Yes.
because we did not meet Kashyap 2 years ago, we had to take a different route. So we had to, go to different platforms, big platforms that were making short films at that point in time, to get our film funded. But I think ultimately I think it'll be better if Jiya takes this up. She was instrumental to the whole deal.
So it was I had made a short film and I was trying to pitch that short film to different platforms, and me and another friend of mine, we were trying really hard. So we sent it to a lot of avenues and a lot of platforms, and FNP Media is an upcoming online platform for short films, and I hadn't even heard of them, but Pranav sent that to me. So I sent my film to them. It was called Zebra Candy, and I sent it to them, and they really liked it. So they called me in for a meeting. And, on the side, Pranav and I were done writing this screenplay. So, but I'd gone for that film, and suddenly, they were like, okay, this is the contract, let's do the signing. And I called my friend and said, listen, they're really interested and they really want to sign now. And he's like, no, but we've given it to Zoom Studios. Don't give it to them. And I was just like, okay, this is very embarrassing because I am like begging for them to take this film and you're suddenly telling me. And I apologized and I said, I'm really sorry. My other producer has done a deal with the other people. So they were like, oh, okay. He said, okay, do you have anything else? And I was just like, yes, I have a script ready. And they were lucky enough, they asked me to narrate it to them there and then. And I did a narration, and I was very surprised with the way they reacted to it because I was not expecting them to, accept or understand or visualize what I was saying or trying to say or thinking. And, it took, that's why I'm saying this film was meant to be, because it took them 30 seconds to say yes. And, they were so excited and they said, you know what, let's just do it.
And
And
I couldn't believe it when she called me. She said, "We found producers." I said, ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं, वो बोल देते हैं, फिर बनाएंगे नहीं." She said, "They've agreed for this X amount." I said, "That is impossible, yaar. You don't even send the script. ये क्या बनाएंगे?" And I was doing all that, but ultimately, fortunately for us, it worked out, and it worked out like very swiftly. Everything was very smooth. Like there was like we signed the papers and we were making the film the very next month.
yeah, also because I had a deadline, I had to come back to, this happened in Delhi and we made the film in Delhi, and I had to come back to Bombay because I had to start another project. So, we had a timeline and I had like 10 days to prep the film and shoot the film and get out of there. And I said, I'll do the post in Bombay. So I need to rush. So, they were also like, nahi, aaram se karte hain, we'll spend a month. I said, nahi, abhi karte hain, let's just do it, because ab nahi hoga to kabhi nahi hoga. And I think the only thing I can tell everybody who's watching, do it now. If there is an idea in your head, just pen it down. If there is an opportunity that's ringing on your email, do it now. Just, you have to be a hustler. You have to keep tapping into things. Otherwise, if you're like complacent and if you'll be like, nahi ho jayega, it's going to take its own sweet time. But just keep doing it now. That's it. That's all I can say.
That's something amazing that you said, and which is so important. Do it now. Go ahead and write that script.
Yeah.
Well, things will follow. My next question to all of you, whoever wants to go for it first. You know, these are LGBT. These are queer stories. You know, about LGBTQIA plus community. About stories about them. Can you tell us, in this entire process of filmmaking, how did you incorporate other queer collaborators, be it in acting, be it in script writing, be it in a part of the crew? Did you guys get a chance to do that to empower more? The whole point of asking this is, you know, there, also so that for us to understand, are there enough well-trained queer technical professionals, you know, out there with whom did you get a chance to work with them? Yeah, whoever wants to go first.
I can go. So, yeah. So in the film, whenever you watch it, if you watch it, in the film, there's a whole section of the Pride Parade, and I don't want to make like I don't want to give you a spoiler because I think for me it's like the high point of the film. But yeah, I did work with the people from the community, and I was just so glad that they came because after every time we the actor said a dialogue, I was just going to them and say, this is okay, right? This is fine, right? This is great, right? Like I'm not saying anything wrong. And we have this whole fantastical sequence. It's a very tiny sequence where they're in the film and they're doing their thing. And I said, do exactly what you do in a parade. Like, imagine this is a parade, and because of COVID, we had a wish list to go inside a pride parade and shoot it, but obviously we couldn't, and there were no parades this year or last year. So I wanted to create the pride parade inside, and I said, just do your thing. And the way, just it just says so much that they are so comfortable in their own skin. And even other people are not so comfortable. Everybody fat shames everybody, and everybody has a problem with dark color, or it's just amazing how they're so confident and they're so comfortable. And I don't think that I think some people have reached a point where they do not care of what they're perceived as, and I think that's the best place to be in. So just understanding that, and the whole energy on set, the whole vibe on the set, because we were celebrating pride, right? We were celebrating, that's the film. So it was just, I'm so glad that they come, so that we actually had people from the community ratifying everything and building the whole mahal, if I may say. And it was just amazing.
Great. Anyone else?
So before we even had the entire script flushed out, we already knew who the love interest was going to be in the film. So the film, once you watch it, you'll know, has this sculptor who comes to India, and we were scrolling on Instagram and we found this art historian. He was San Francisco based. We were in LA at the time. He would recreate portraits, like iconic Renaissance or European historical portraits with himself in them. Usually gender bending and like playing around with the idea of gender in historical art. And without an audition, without ever talking to him on the phone, Sunny and I had made up our minds that this is it. This is the guy who's going to be. He had the soul in his eyes that we wanted for the character, and we were like, I don't care if he can't talk. I don't care if he's gonna, handstand on set. He's the guy. He's gonna do it. And then when we reached out to Mario, his name is Mario, and he was super, super excited. We based his character based on Michelangelo, and like the suppressed historic story that we found of him. So that stemmed this another like spiral across for us. And the three of us got really excited. There was three art nerds who were like, yes, let's make this movie. And then came to India. Mario had never been to India. It was a single phone call saying, yes, we've got the dates, we've got the location. Can you come? He's like, cool, I'll take the flight out tomorrow morning. And he flew down from San Francisco for the shoot. We then met our makeup artist, Kumar, who is a legendary drag queen in Bombay. And he came on to do the makeup of the film. So
her drag name is Dolly Divine. Like, she's pretty well known in the drag circuit if you guys ever end up going for a show. But yeah, we met Kumar at his house for coffee. We spoke about the film. Immediately, yes, of course, he'll do it. And then he pointed us in the direction for the location, who was Amarnath. And through him, he's like, I've heard of this person, Amarnath. He owns these hotels. He's also one of the people who kind of fought Section 377 and was instrumental to that. So why don't you just give him an email? Let me see if I can get a number. Somewhere Kumar found a number, and then Aman's like, I'm in Delhi these 2 days. Just come meet us. So from Jaipur, again, we took a train to Delhi, met Aman for like 2 days. And he's like, yeah, I have a perfect location. Just go to this location, which was 4 hours from Delhi. So like all of those sort of small dots kind of came together. And yeah, I never thought that I have like so many queer people on a crew. But yeah, the energy was just like insane. It was so much fun. Like a bunch of queer people being queer and also making a movie at the same time was amazing.
How fantastic. How about you, Kirnay? Did you also get to involve queer crew members or advisors on your project?
To be honest, we didn't really have that much time to, be looking. I called up the people who I had worked with in the past and, to had a sort of equation with. But one of my executive producers is from the community. So I had this fear every time because I thought maybe this is not my story to tell. But that was the whole point in making the film, that, it's not about who tells the story, and it's coming from a place where we are all equal. You can choose to be whoever you want to be, and that's not my or anyone's, no one has a say in that. Like, why should I come into your house and tell you what you need to do, or for anywhere for that matter? So I don't think we had this conscious sort of plan in head to involve people. If it happened, it happened. But I have a lot of friends from the community, and it just towards the end, it just became like, I don't see myself doing anything wrong, because if and when anyone sees the film, they'll just know that it's a simple human story. It could be anyone in that girl's shoes, and it's just her decision to be who she wants to be and who she wants to be with. And at the end of the day, it's all about equality. It's so no, sorry. I didn't. We didn't have too much of a queer presence on set in a way, but it's all about like I said, it was all about equality, and that being the mindset behind the process in the film at the end of the day. So yeah.
Great. Well, then we are running out of time. My last question to all of you would be like the closing comments, and what is that one thing that is going to stay with you after this? The biggest experience you had from your film. Radhika, if you would like to go first, and then we'll move on to the others.
For me, the biggest experience is actually making it possible, and a film just happening because of an idea that cropped up in one afternoon. And yes, like I had this privilege of like actually making another film. So I had the same unit come and work on the same on this film, and because it was a really short film, I didn't really have to look for funds or anything. So it was just that it materialized and it happened, and it was just that, like to just go after the idea. Yeah.
Right. Next, who would like to go next? JIYA, maybe? JIYA, Pranav, then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say biggest, but I think the scariest experience of making this film was directing such senior actors. I had sleepless nights. I was just, how you constantly doubt yourself, and, you don't know how they will react. You don't know that if you will say, sir, aise nahi, aise, to, how they would react. But Supriya ji, Rajesh ji, and Shrikant ji were so amazing, and they were so respectful. Nobody treated it like, nobody treated me like, okay, she's abhi to paida hui hai and what is she telling us to do and all, like, so I was very, very nervous, but I was also very excited. But I thought that would be a task. I thought they would strong arm me. I thought they would change everything or change dialogues or, not do what I want them to do. But that did not happen. And they did exactly what I wanted them to do. And there were takes and there were retakes. And I was stubborn because I'm a very stubborn person. I want what I want. So they were very kind enough and very patient to, do things my way. And I'm very, very thankful for that. And I again, like with Pranav, I've done theater with him and I've directed him in one of my plays, and I just told him that this will be nothing like what you do, and I will make sure that we spin it in a very different way. So yeah, my scariest experience of this film was getting performances out of all these four brilliant actors, and that happened, and that I'm hoping that happened well. And the best experiences, of course, the learning. I have also come out a very, very educated person. I think we all need it at some point in our lives. And I'm so glad that I was educated through this entire process and I'm a better person. So, yes, that's it.
Yeah, I think for me also, I have realized that we need to be more sensitive towards the community as a society and also as storytellers, and not just use, because in a lot of commercial films and otherwise also, I think we've used the community for as cliches or for comic relief. I think that now it's time that we tell stories of the community for the community and stories that are real. So I think that is one big learning, and going back to how it's changed my whole thought process more than anything else. Also, all these thoughts, all these viewpoints are really interesting. I would actually love to watch the other films also.
Yes.
I don't know how we can, but if given a chance, I'd love to watch all the other films too.
Of course, all of you will be getting the festival passes, and of course, you'll get a chance to watch each other's films and comment on the. I mean, the platform will have an option of where or the audience can come and comment as well, so you can answer the questions. Kirnay?
So for me, I think the reason why I chose to make the film, and I mean the main message that I wanted to give with the film kind of got reaffirmed. I would say after the film was done with the shoot, because the pre-production and the production, the shoot, even the edit for that matter was relatively very smooth compared to any of the films that I've done before, dare I say. But our post-production hit during the lockdown, and it was a nightmare. I mean, in the sense of just getting the film done, and so I think the main message with our film, at least, is to never give up and just keep persevering, no matter what your situation. It might be, it might be who you are, it might be what you're doing, it might be what you want to do, and whatever your situation, giving up shouldn't be an option. Should never be an option, and I think that belief got reaffirmed during the making of the film. So I think, that was just the biggest. It just came full circle, like started with the title of like Keep Punching, and then ended up putting that in your head again, saying that don't give up, just keep at it. So yeah.
Right. So Sunny and Shivin, what are your thoughts?
So in terms of like practicality, like I think this film taught both of us that just beg everyone that you find, just anybody that you meet, just beg them. They are bound to they're bound to break down at a certain point, and if they don't, you move on and find someone else to beg. like each and everything that shows up on camera has been brought there only because like, give it, please. I want it, and please just give it. Like there's one set with like canvas printouts of sketches, and we got like our local Xerox shop to comp that for us. And it's like like we've been going there as kids, and we like told him like, hey, we're making a movie, just help us out. He's like, sure. Like, so even like that, like really tiny thing, like spread all over the production is just a bunch of begging.
Yeah, please don't be ashamed. There's no ego when you're trying to make a movie. The only thing that matters is that at the end of it, you have a movie. So do what you need to get there. And I think what I'm really excited about is about connecting with other filmmakers, is about amplifying queer voices. Yeah, I mean, it's giving me goosebumps right now also to be here on a platform, to be able to share a story about queer kids, about LGBTQIA community, about us, a story by us, for us. And yeah, just to amplify this, to share this with everyone watching, and just tell them that, you know what, you can do it, man. Just whatever it is, even if it doesn't look like a movie, as long as there's a story in there somewhere, just do it. It's worth it. Just please amplify these voices. And thank you, Kashish, for giving us this platform. It's incredible.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Kashyap.
So, like when you ask me that question, ki what is your biggest takeaway, or, what was, something that you remember? While on set, there's this moment in the film that, we made, where Sharvari, our protagonist, she has like a tear in her eye, and she kind of naturally, I don't know how she did it or what she channeled. There was no glycerine on set, but I think she was following the narrative of the story, and she naturally kind of had moist eyes and like a tear fell. And I saw that thing in the first cut, and I just had goosebumps, and I could feel like my eyes were tearing up. And this is not even a story about me, and yet I could relate to it. And just that beauty of cinema, man. Like my biggest takeaway is that just I love being on set, and I love movies, and it reinforced that love for cinema. So everyone should make a movie. Like if you have a cinematic voice or a writer's voice or something like that, just make a movie. You'll feel something else altogether. Yeah, that's
Thank you, Kashyap. And like Shivin said so beautifully, these are our stories. These are Indian stories. So all of you watching this, please, tell us how you like them. The filmmakers will be watching your comments, and they'll also be replying to some of your comments too. The moment you watch it, there's an option in the platform to come and leave your comments. So you can, anyway, if you have any question for the filmmakers, please don't hesitate. Ask them. Share if you like the stories. Please share it on social media and tag Kashish Film Festival. So so that we can also amplify these voices. And once again, congratulations to all of you, and thank you so much for talking to us about the process of your films and for sharing all these wonderful stories. Thank you, and all the very best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you,
guys.
everyone. All the best, everyone.
Thank you.
Bro, I want to ask for
Yeah.
if you know any queer technicians working in film,
Yeah, please.
please connect us. We're constantly looking to diversify our crew. We're shooting almost every month, so it's important for us to kind of really open up and bring in our family to our sets. It's please, if you know anyone who's in any part of the industry, please connect us.
Perfect.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Wow, this is such a
wonderful.
brilliant
Thank you for bringing
thing.
this up, Shivin. Definitely, we'll connect.
Thank you.
Sridhar, and Sridhar would know so many people.
No, this has been such a brilliant conversation, and all of you are young filmmakers, but you sound so wise and brilliant per se, and it's almost like attending a film school with so much of wisdom coming out, and also so much of knowledge, and also so much of love for the LGBTQ community coming up in the conversations. I really love this entire conversation. Thank you for making these films and keeping the rainbow flag flying high. And we'll know who's going to win the competition. I know all of your stars, all of your won already, but we're going to know on September 5th who is the winner of the Indian Narrative Shorts competition. And also there's some of you are nominated for the Riyadh Wadia Award for Best Emerging Filmmaker too. So we'll know on September 5th when the jury announces on the award ceremony. So please watch this particular Q&A, and if anybody has any comments on this, please reply so that you can amplify and also bring more people, make more films, tell their stories. Thanks really to each one of you, and a pleasure to talk to you. But
Likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Guys.